Context channel. Did you know that when your clergymen tell you to pray for Israel, they are telling you to pray for criminals? Well, sorry, I know this is disconcerting news for some, but this being on the 3rd August 2024, on this week on Monday, there was great protest because Israeli captured some Gazans and raped them. And after they raped them, the military police arrested the rapist officers, and instead of the general society showing outrage for the rapist, they demonstrated for these rapists to be released. This caused wild demos across the country for people calling for rapists to be released. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is an example of what you've been told by your clergyman, your local church elder, your local pastor, or other person to pray for. I'm not making this stuff up, actually. Everything I'm saying, I'll provide in the link below that this actually happened. And others will start asking, Simon, how did you know they were raped? Okay, now watch on your screen. This is an excerpt from discussion in the parliament whereby the MPs did not dispute that the rape happened, but they disputed whether it was legal, and they said indeed it was legal when done on Palestinians. Watch. It is interesting, you can see very well, and it's not actually rape. It is said, it's quite disturbing, but I have to say for our audience is that they inserted things into rectum of those arrested, and until they were bleeding, the victims were taken to hospital, and then you are told, you see very well here, this MP asking, is it right to do this? And he says it is completely okay. It's completely okay to do it to their opponents, to, let's call them prisoners of war. There's an entire Geneva Convention describing how prisoners of war should be handled. But again, the criminal Israeli regime that Christians worldwide have been brainwashed into supporting believe it's okay. The, the Geneva Conventions do not apply to Israelis. And because of that, the church everywhere, including here, has been brainwashed to be supporting these things, in which what we are told is the chosen people of God go inserting metal rods into rectums of their opponents in war, which is illegal, which is unethical, and what you will hear from your local elder who doesn't read anything, maybe away from church circulars, will tell you, okay, pray for these good people, doing practices that the same church, if you read throughout the Old Testament, you will see the books of law. They tell you that God of Israel destroyed their enemies because, among other things, they engaged in such practices, including homosexuality, and of course rape and other things, which God of Israel then found were unacceptable, and then he decided to destroy his opponents of Israel. But today, now the entity you call Israel, which I said in the past is not the biblical Israelites, has been engaging in such practices. You people, if you're a Christian, have read about the story of Sodom and other places where the practice of homosexuality was rampant. And we are told God destroyed them, God of the Bible, God of Israel. But today you have the IDF, which your local clergyman has brainwashed you into thinking is a descendant of Israelites of the Bible, inserting metal rods into people's rectum, raping them, and you are told to pray them. If the God of Bible is not racist, if true God is not racist, if he destroyed people who engaged in these practices, then you can see who is going to be destroyed. Not the victims, but those who are perpetrating these acts today, under the whole glare of the international community, under the whole glare of Christians across the world, including in my beloved country, Kenya. And I have personal declaration to make. I was in church one day and my local elder told me to pray for Israel, and I didn't want to discuss, but I was really disgusted, which made me to miss some of subsequent church services in that particular church for personal reasons. It's very hard for we people to sit aside and watch. And then there are friends who are asking me, but Simon, your channel is geopolitics. Why are you engaging in these religious things? Okay, if you are a Kenyan, this channel is truly geopolitics. And I want to tell you, to assure you, that Israel today, modern day Israel, is a settler colonial entity, just like the British colony of Kenya was. Some of the atrocities that you are seeing the Israelis doing on Gazans, including raping them, including inserting metal rods and other things into rectums of their opponents, is exactly what the British did to our people in the 1930s and 1940s until they rose up to arm. The kind of torture, inhumane torture that was conducted on people here in this country is a kind of things that we Africans had never experienced before. You know, we Africans are kind. Even if you look at the kind of punishment we used to meet on our criminals before Mzungu came, they were really mild punishment, even for the worst criminals, for murderers and rapists and thieves. And we had humane punishments. None of them was this vile, satanic, like the British had. The British had methods of punishment, including maybe guillotine, maybe hanging people, cutting off their heads, like they did to the head of Koitalel, or killing people and burying them secretly, like they did to Wayaki Wahinga, and other things. These are kind of punishments that you don't see. I was in Fort Jesus earlier, some other time, and I saw in the long history of that installation, only when Mzungu came that did he convert one chamber into a chamber of hanging his prisoners. So these kinds of inhumane punishment were brought here by Mzungu and were meted illegally. The kind of kangaroo trials that were conducted on our people under the colonial governments cannot stand any test of modern judicial practice that is being done today. So in other words, it was just open torture, just open murdering of our people without any reason. And I am inflamed seeing what the Israelis do to Gazans, because I know that's what Mzungu did to our forefathers here. And it is my responsibility as a Kenyan living today to warn my generation and future generation that Mzungu terrorist, we should beware of Mzungu terrorist. We should not be taken along his path of lying, letting him guide the Israeli terrorist regime that was started under Mzungu Balfour Declaration to systematically eliminate Arabs, because if he succeeds there, we will be next. We know very well, and very many documents, including the founding documents of colonialism done by Cecil Rhodes, that Mzungu desires to return to Kenya, to come and resteal all the land he had under whatever name, I don't know, White Highland, and take it for his use. So if we Kenyans allow Israeli regime to succeed, we might be next. And you have seen how Mzungu has pocketed our governments and subsequent regimes so that they see no wrong. He has pocketed the media. They report no wrong concerning the undoing of Israeli regime and the British regime, including in Batuk here, right here in Nanyuki. So Kenyans, kindly take note that don't sit at home comfortably praying for Israel without doing your own investigation and realize it's just a settler colonial entity that is made up of people that are not from Palestine, that have no genetic link to Palestine, that, for example, the president, the prime minister, the minister for defense, and other important people come from Eastern Europe. They come from Poland. They have genetic ancestry from Eastern Europe. So they are conmen, lying, imposting to take over the land that belonged to other people. So kindly, please take note. Let's not be misled into allowing modern day settler colonial satanic regime to mow down people, to kill people, to conduct these kind of inhumane acts that are sickening. And that's why you might notice, if you go in interviewing some of your grandfathers, we in central Kenya, if you go interviewing some of your grandfathers, from those a few that remain that lived through the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, you notice the kind of deep trauma, some of things they cannot even talk about because of the evil of the British colonial regime. Yeah, these are some of the things that they did to our people, and that are allowed to happen today. And the media, your local gathering media, will not tell you that. It will try to, to hide facts, to misrepresent, to just tell you it is Israel. They've never taken time to explain to you that the Israel today is not the Israelites of the Bible. They'll never tell you it's a different colonial thing. They'll never tell you that actually the people there don't have a genetic link to Abraham, who was an Aramaic Arab. So we are being lied to, and we must not allow this to continue happening. We must call it out. It's settler colonialism 2.0 of the modern century, which must be defeated for the world to continue living in peace. So kindly, as we head to weekend, I know tomorrow, the 4th of August, will be on a Sunday. If you are told to pray for Israel, I hope you'll have some courage to show, to tell your local clergy that the Israelis today are not the Israelites of the Bible. And maybe you can show them the links I'm sharing below, that the people we are being told to pray to are Sodomites. They rape people. They engage in such satanic things that, according to the original Israeli Bible, tells us that the nations that engaged in these practices got destroyed. So if the Israelis are doing it, then it's because they know, probably they believe in a racist God who can punish other nations for sodomy, but will reward them for the same. Then that's a basically racist God that we should all stay away from. But if it is the true God, the creator of heaven and earth, the most merciful and the most gracious, then if something was wrong then, it is wrong today. You cannot do it to anybody, including your opponent. And even in case of war, there are very elaborate ways of treating the prisoners of war that are known. Even Kikuyus in pre-colonial time, we had our rules. There are things we could not do, and we could not practice such evil and satanic things in wars. So Context channel help me raise awareness. And if you want to know the real shaky link of Israelis to that land, I did a video here, and I'm going to provide a link below. Just follow my channel, like and subscribe, and then you go through my videos. You'll see one that has this poster of Pray for Israel. I have struck out some of the names, and then open and watch it. I have provided an extensive links of how the Israelis you see today are not Israelites of the Bible. Context channel, like, share, and subscribe.